Welcome back to the Hero Gauntlet, Beowulf Edition. So let's look at our first hero, the guy who took down the vicious Grendel, who used the mighty Hrunting and Wiglaf at his side, Beowulf. So let's look at that outlaw from Sherwood Forest who brought all those riches to the poor. That's of course Robin Hood. So let's look at Beowulf's deck. So Beowulf, remember, starts with 1 rage, and he gains rage from taking on that damage. And he can use that to dish damage back, as well as remove cards from the opponent's hand. Now let's look at Robin Hood. Robin Hood is ranged, as well as his outlaws who are melee, and he's got those mighty 4 outlaws. He can attack targets with a really high attack with Hunter's Eye, or those ambush attacks with his outlaws, and then be able to move up to 2 spaces right after. Now let's see how Beowulf has been doing so far. Lost to Sherlock. Let's see if he has better luck against Robin Hood. So now we're into the first round here. We are on Sherwood Forest, the home map of Robin Hood. And Robin Hood is actually going first and placing down his outlaws right along that middle passage there. That kind of connects to that main road right in the middle of the Sherwood Forest. I placed Beowulf's companion Wiglaf right in the middle of that road, in which a outlaw is going to try to ambush him and rush right after him right out of the gate. Now, he tries to push Robin Hood a little bit further back. He tries to get him in that nice, like, sort of orangey zone. And I don't defend against the attack, thinking that it's a highway robbery, but ends up being wily fighting, which is really bad for me. And Wiglaf right out of the gate is going to take 4 damage from that 1 attack from an outlaw. And then the outlaw just moves 1 space down as per the ability of Robin Hood. So he's able to get around the field a little bit more, I guess you say, conveniently. Now I have Wiglaf here. Wiglaf is, kind of figure out what I want to do. Do I want to go after the outlaw? I decide, you know what, I'm going to keep them close together. And I'm going to use that Remnant of Valor to deal a damage to Beowulf, but as well as deal a damage to that outlaw that's standing right there. This also gives me an additional action to do something if I want, to try to deal with my opponent, so on and so forth. And I end up going on and contemplating using Vigor and Courage to remove a random card from Robin Hood's hand, which is what I end up doing. So I get rid of that nice ambush, and I'm able to build up my rage to 3. So I'm all maxed out on my rage. And now into the second round, Robin Hood sends one of his outlaws right against Wiglaf on that main road. And I decide to use Feint, thinking that, even if it's a highway robbery, I can block all the damage. I am going to take a damage over that. It ends up being a snark, but I am able to cancel the effect so he doesn't get any card draw from it. The outlaw moves back 2 spaces, and now I'm kind of left mostly on my own within this main road. So here I am, I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do here. I end up moving Wiglaf up onto that side passage as I kind of get Beowulf kind of positioned more centrally located on the map. Robin Hood could be really difficult to deal with if he keeps like bouncing around on the board. I go after one of his outlaws with Fatal Struggle, assuming that he wouldn't defend it with anything, or at least, not even use a high value attack. Defense. So I end up going after that with Fatal Struggle to be able to draw 2 cards to refill my hand. Just give myself possibly some more defense options. Now he takes on a 3rd outlaw to come after me on the main road. I'm contemplating what to use as defense. I don't want to use Equal of Grendel against a outlaw. It can be considered kind of wasteful. So I end up using War King. At least I can try to defend some of the damage that's coming after me. And then he throws down a Feint on attack. This, I can understand, might be useful against cards like War King, but you're still only getting 1 damage over it. And sometimes it might be more valuable to actually use it on defense. So, it was an interesting attack that was done there by that outlaw. And then he moves down into that yellow region to kind of, some sort of surrounding me at this point. I decided to move Wiglaf up 1. And then seeing if I can actually get Beowulf to be able to close in on Robin Hood. I ended up kind of going back on my initial decision because I want to boost the maneuver in order to get them both into a spot that I think is advantageous. So I'm kind of thinking right now if I want to use a certain type of card here. I'm kind of looking at how for the battles, so I end up discarding that, which gives me an incredible move value of 5. And I'm trying to think where I want to throw Beowulf. I decide to throw Beowulf right there. Not basically right next to Robin Hood, but kind of sizably close. But I want to block off that channel of escape for him. And I end up using that Remnant of Valor again, just to get rid of that third Outlaw. Now, Robin Hood's going to go right after me. I have the, at least 2 rage. I'm using Equal of Grendel, and lo and behold, that is the interaction I wanted. I used 2 rage to deal 5 damage back to Robin Hood, who already has a very low health pool at this point, and I'm able to only take 2 damage from that massive hit of Hunter's Eye. So I kind of lucked out there. Now he goes after me with a second attack. I decide to feint this one. He comes after me with the disarming shot. This is incredibly useful as well, because this way he can't refill his hand after he makes this attack, which kind of keeps me at an advantage on the offensive because his hand size is going to be much smaller. So here I am with 1 card left in hand. I decide to get the Fatal Struggle. I feel like I really need to refill my hand, and I know that if anything, he's not going to defend against Fatal Struggle with a, with an Outlaw. I'm assuming he wouldn't use any of those remaining cards in his hands on an Outlaw. So I went after the Outlaw. I dealt 4 damage to him, which is way overkill, but I did it mostly because I wanted to refill my hand and get rid of an Outlaw at the same time, which kind of helped out. I got 1 defense card. I'm not in Robin Hood's zone right now. He would have to move down to get to me, but he ends up going right after Wiglaf. I have no defenses for Wiglaf, and he ends up using the disarming shot he had left over in order to finish Wiglaf off. This was actually a pretty devastating blow at this time, but he's going to refill that hand, which is really good. It's just, for me, I'm kind of losing my board presence even more so now, because Wiglaf cannot, I have no one else that can trap him in that corner. So it's going to be really rough to kind of get around the board here to keep on pace with, Robin Hood. So as you can see here, I'm trying to figure out where to go here. I end up going all the way up and kind of blocking him to the left, and I go after him with Epic Poem. Now, I don't need the additional rage that's gained from Epic Poem, but I definitely wanted to hit him with a big attack. I got that nice 5 value Equal of Grendel. Now I'm going after him with Epic Poem, dealing 2 damage over his wily fighting, in which he was able to deal damage back to me. So the thing is that it's kind of like I'm overloading on rage right now, but I still have 2 War Kings in my pocket. We'll see what goes on from there. So we're going to break this game up now with the halftime report. So as you guys can see here, Beowulf has 10 combat damage, a big 7 direct damage, going into 8 damage blocked. It seems somewhat evenly matched at this point, but let's see how it goes in the rest of the game. So we see here right off the bat, Robin Hood is going to attack Beowulf. Oh man, he tried to do a piercing shot, in which I was able to use War King in order to at least bring up my defense with that rage. So I was able to block the entire attack, but he's going to be able to draw 2 cards to refill that hand. That's seriously the weakness I have right now is Beowulf. I just have no way to keep up with all these attacks. Then Robin Hood comes in again and attacks me again. I end up using another War King in order to defend against this one. Just basically bleeding out on cards. But I'm able to stave off all this damage at this point in time. He does another Snark, which is going to give him another card draw. So he's really just refilling his hand, taking care of those options as he decides to kind of move away at this point, all the way on that back corner. So he tries to get away from me. I have no cards in hand. I really need to refill my hand. I'm very tempted to stay somewhat close, but I know that I need to get to some place that he's going to have to maneuver to try to get to, or at least boost to get to. So I kind of decided to go towards that middle pathway to see if that would be a good, option for me. What he ends up doing is discarding the highway robbery to come after me, right in that middle side space. So he comes after me with a feint. I feint his feint. We're both just, juking it out, and just basically trying to avoid each other's attacks or counterattacks, and nothing happens. Just kind of a little fun dance there in that side passageway in the Sherwood Forest. So here we go. Here I end up using Vigor and Courage to discard a card from his hand in order to gain some rage, and decide to maneuver away as I'm trying to refill my hand. He boosts his maneuver again to come after me on the offensive, seeing I have a very low hand size. The thing is that he comes after me with another big hunter shot. I'm able to block it with a skirmish, so I only take 1 damage, which was huge for that interaction, and I end up being able to survive the encounter. I'm able to get Hunting in my hand, that nice ancient heirloom, and I get Fatal Struggle, so I am very susceptible to any attacks right now. And so he boosts to get right into my zone, which is kind of what I'm hoping for him to keep doing. And now he's going to attack me. He hits me with a regroup. This was very lucky for me. This was a very lucky interaction. He's able to draw 2 cards from this. But the thing is that I only took 1 damage, which is kind of ideal for Beowulf. Whenever he takes damage, he only wants to take that 1 damage. So now it's my turn. I'm going to maneuver. I get the Golden Drinking Horn. I have an opportunity now to heal, maybe refill my hand, do that sort of thing. So I'm trying to figure out where I would like to go as I'm trying to set this stuff up. I would like to have Robin Hood continue to have to maneuver to get to me, instead of being able to just sit back and just, fire arrows at my face. So I'm trying to figure out, where should I move Beowulf from this. I only have 2 attack cards. I have that. I really have to think about if I want to go right after him with Hunting, or if I want to kind of pull back a little bit to regroup. And I end up deciding, ultimately, I can't risk taking a lot more damage in order to die here. So I end up going over there. I end up drawing 2 cards, and I end up healing 2 health. So I go up 2 more health. Kind of helps me out there. And I get those 2 cards in hand, which was vital because I got a defense from that. Yeah, again, Robin Hood, discarding those cards to kind of keep boosting to get into my zone. Goes after me with another hunter shot. I'm able to block 4 of that damage, only taking 1 over. That was huge at this point in time. And we see that Robin Hood just kind of moves a little bit closer, which I'm actually kind of surprised. But maybe just to avoid having to boost some of those maneuvers to get closer to me. I decided to go right up next to him. I do have some attack cards in hand. I don't have any defenses, so I'm kind of running desperate right now. But, this is my chance to shine. I have Fatal Struggle, which could potentially refill my hand. So I end up going after him with that. And he defends with a Wily Fighting. So this actually worked well for me. I get the damage onto Robin Hood with that. He's able to deal 1 damage back to me, but then I'm going to be able to draw 2 cards to really give me some options possibly on defense. Well, that didn't work out so well for me. And now I'm defenseless against this attack, but luckily a lot of the big ones have already come. He comes after me with the Snark to deal 3 damage. As I'm kind of filling up on that rage meter. And he's going to be able to draw a card from this as well. So he's getting that done. And then he moves back onto the edge of that little corner. Then he starts using a scheme to draw a card, and it gives me an option to discard a card to prevent him from getting a second. I really thought this was actually a really useful option in order to try to prevent him. And I had a useless card really against him. So I just discard it so, you know, to prevent him from having more than 2 cards in hand. I want to eliminate the amount of options he can have on defense. So I go after him with Ancient Heirloom. He has the, you know, Defenders of Sherwood card that he throws down. But sadly for him, I'm able to use all of my 3 rage into this attack, be able to bring it up to a 5 value as well as boost it. And sadly for him, he didn't realize I had a card with a 3 boost on it to make an 8 value attack for him to take 5 damage, just enough to take him out and end the match. So Beowulf is victorious in this battle. So let's look at the final stats here. Beowulf with 16 combat damage compared to Robin Hood's 19, but still 23 compared to 22 damage total. But it's that 23 damage block from Beowulf that kept him alive with that 2 health recovered, keeping forward. So Beowulf with a very high efficiency rating compared to Robin Hood, over a 2-point difference on that one, concludes the match, and Beowulf is the most efficient. So looking at this, Beowulf wins 5-0 against Robin Hood. Let's find out next time how he does against Ghost Rider.